Do you want to go into 2021 feeling more inspired, creative, and overall excellent? Then stay tuned for this episode of Spirit. Before we get started, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be reminded when a new episode comes up, and to also help expand our reach and get our message out to more people. In this very special episode of Spirit Lift, I have the pleasure of speaking with Melanie Veazey. Melanie has been coaching, teaching, and training for over 30 years. She's a proud graduate of one of the top theater training schools in the United States, Carnegie Mellon University, where she earned her BFA in musical theater. She has spent a good part of her life performing professionally. However, she realized along the way that her passions truly lie in helping others. Melanie is the owner of Impact Coaching and Wellness based in Orlando, Florida. Oh, what a great place. She spends her time coaching aspiring artists and individuals of all ages. She has an innate sense of how to approach any issues or difficulties and finds a process for each person that she works with. Melanie is certified in Reiki and in NLP to further assist her clients to live their best lives and follow their dreams. Melanie, this is a great honor for me to have you on this episode of Spirit Lift, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
No, thank you so much, Melanie. Look, we're filming this episode on the tail end of 2020. Very soon we'll be going in 2021. People need to feel just more uplifted, more than ever, to get into a new year and just take the rust of what is 2020 and just, I don't know, just feel more alive, feel more inspired, feel more deeply motivated about the way they live their life, you know?
Absolutely.
And this year for me, and having the honor of speaking to many professionals such as yourself in many different arenas of their expertise, their way of being able to really assist and coach and share their professionalism to many others in the way they do is been just eye-opening and inspiring for me to share that with other people. And I think you have a very interesting line of work and profession, and I think it's really important that you can help share with our audience ways that, especially with creativity, I think this is a very important topic. So let's start with that. Can you go tell us a little bit more in depth about your journey, your background, and what you do now to help others? And then we'll go into that more detail, okay?
Sure, absolutely. I started out in the performing arts when I was a little girl. I started as a dancer, and I quickly grew into loving the performing arts. I was always in a show when I was little, always loved performing and being on stage, even for my family and friends. I was always singing on my grandparents' table. I went to high school and danced through high school, although it was a rigorous academic program. I found that I really wanted to pursue the performing arts in college. So I went to a conservatory program, Carnegie Mellon University, and we got to dance and sing and act and study classical theater. And I had every inkling and thought in my head that I was going to go out of Carnegie Mellon and sign the Rich and Famous contract, which is what my dream was, to become an actor professionally. And I did to some degree. I was a professional actor and still am. But basically what happened was nobody really told me what to expect when I graduated. So I was basically dropped in the middle of New York City I had an agent, but no knowledge of really how to market myself. I didn't know the business of the business. So it was, for somebody that was really sensitive and creative, it was very soul crushing to me. And at that time, I had my first kind of bout of depression that I really hadn't known until that point. So after spending a year and a half in New York City, I moved back home to Connecticut, and I started my own studio where I was able to teach younger kids and adults and use my abilities to be artistic and creative to further somebody else's dream. And I did that, and I started performing again, and it was all, I'm trying to do this really quickly so I can get to now.
No, keep going. I think your context is important. I think I really like it, because I like to see. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt.
No, it's great. I mean, I was like, oh gosh, this may be going on for too long. But
no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so there I was in Connecticut. I had a studio. I was performing locally. And it was as if this little voice in my head said, "Is this it?" And it like totally shocked me. And I was like, "Oh, I'm 32 years old, and this is it. I'm in this little town in Connecticut with an art center, and performing at the local professional theater." And so there were a bunch of other things that were also happening, and basically I was also asked to be in an internet series at the time. So I took that opportunity, and that opportunity led me to meeting people that were here in Orlando. So at the age of 32, I blew up my life. I blew up all of everything that I knew. I was married. I didn't have any children, which was good. But I packed up everything, and I got in the car, and I moved to Orlando, Florida with nothing, basically. And I started again. And I got back into working on camera for a while. I did commercials and, again, local theater here, and started another version of my business, basically now going into schools and teaching. Instead of kids going to a studio or adults going to a studio, I brought the studio to them. So I had teachers of dance and drama going into local schools we worked with and doing ballet classes, dance classes, producing shows. And it was great, it was great. And I also at the same time started coaching privately. So I was teaching voice and acting and audition. And I found when I was teaching privately that I wasn't just teaching voice lessons or teaching acting lessons. I was really coaching these people on how to get there. What's going on in your life? What's stopping you? Why are you feeling this way? What's your inner voice saying to you? Who told you that you couldn't do this? So I found that the teenagers and the college kids that would come to me would end up talking to me for the whole 45 minutes or hour rather than me teaching. So it was one of my great loves. So I had this other business where, the little kids were dancing at their schools, but then I had this really great thing going on in my house. If you can see behind me, I have, my piano and Broadway posters. And so this became kind of a safe haven for teenagers and adults and I always say, whoever comes through my door, I'm so excited to see you, because what can we do? What can we do to fix so that you can get the part, or you can be a better speaker, or you can, whatever you desire in your life, let's make it happen. All the time thinking, I so wish I had this person in my life when I was going through that process 30 years ago, when I got out of college. This is who I needed. So fast forward to pandemic, and everything stopped. There were no classes in schools. We shut down. I couldn't teach because I couldn't have anybody in my house. So I had a lot of time to think. And I think like everybody, we went into a major time of soul searching, going, okay, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do if this doesn't come back? What am I going to do? And I had probably 10 young women working for me at the time. And, it was very hard to figure out what to do. The minute I said, what makes you happy? Where are your passions lying? It's like a light bulb went off. Thank goodness my husband's work was not affected. So I was able to say, all right, I'm going to make a change. We're going to scale everything back. I sold my dance and drama company to the young woman that was managing for me. So she's taking that on, which is like, me mentoring her, which is great. And I did something that I've always wanted to do, which was take a Reiki course. And it blew my mind. It's something that I've always known that I've had, but it brought me to a whole new level of thinking and being opened. And then I finished with that and I got hungry for more, and I took a course in neurolinguistic programming, which is something that I do anyway with my clients, but to then have it validated, to know that they're, the way they're looking, the way their body language is, the way we talk to ourselves, and the way that we can reprogram ourselves to think better and more positive, and work with our fears and our inner fears. And so at the same time, I started doing something on Instagram, which was doing purely for myself. And that was just being creative. And it's something that I hadn't done since I was probably a child, of just putting things together that are pretty, things that are, and I started out using other people's quotes and other people's designs. And then as I got more confident, I was like, you know what? I'm going to write my own stuff. And so I started writing things that I say to my clients. And I started using pictures that spoke to me. And then, there was one in particular that, it was when I had my 19-year-old Chihuahua passed away. And it just came out of my heart. This whole post came out of my heart. And I look at it now and I go back and not only does that speak to me, but what it says is, the pain's going to go away. It's going to be all right, but it's been the most rewarding thing that I've done in so long, because it's purely for me. And through that, bringing this whole thing back around, this being creative, is I have found that part of me again. It's not just about making money. It's not just about, making sure the mortgage is paid and the electric's being paid. And it's about finding your passion and what lights you up, so that you can then in turn light others up. And so through that, I have met the most incredible people all over the world, present company included. It's been so enlightening. And so now I've added into, so now I have a whole outdoor studio. I've got everybody under a canopy outside, and I have now my Reiki table that I yank out there and I set up, and I've had the most, every time I do a Reiki session, I am on cloud nine. I love every second of it. And so I think that that's my biggest lesson. And that's what I want for everybody to start thinking about, is what lights you up. Find your fire. Find the things that make you excited. Who were you when you were a little kid? Let's bring that person back. And, maybe we can't get you to fly to the moon, but, we can do something. We can get you out to Cape Canaveral and go watch rocket launches and learn more about it, just because it's so important to find that light within. And and really follow your passions and be creative. So that's my long circle of the answer to your question.
Melanie, your story and your journey, as the way you describe it, I think it's just so enlightening and so interesting. And it kind of tells me something really important and resonates in my mind and in my body, is that when you are talking about your initial journey and that first phase of when you finish and what you were expecting and where you ended up eventually in your life, I think what I like is that you didn't completely lose what you set out, let's say, to do or to expect. What you did was then apply what naturally makes you feel good into something that was important for you, starting with you more than anything else. Starting with you, you seem to have taken something that you wanted initially, or you felt driven by, and apply it in a way for your life and share with others in a way that gives meaning to you. And I think that is, and I want to encourage all of our viewers on YouTube and anyone listening on our podcast platforms, to really, really take that into mind and consideration. Okay. And, feel free to leave your comments below as well, if you're watching on YouTube, about, what really lights you up and what really drives you to want to be the best that you can and be creative and feel inspired. But what I really appreciate with what you're saying, Melanie, is that your life's journey, even though I'm sure, like you mentioned before, that you had doubts, that you may have felt depressed, that you felt like in a fog of where's this going? Because as well, there's so many creative people out there and what is annoying about kind of the way our world is that there's not enough, and it really bothers me actually, is that there's not enough space, there's not enough, let's say, compensation for creative people to make their way in the world. And I think that's really unfortunate, because we need a lot more creative minds to apply in the arts and in everything that's related to creative ways of expression and being, whatever it is. We need a lot more of that for sure. Okay. I mean, and it's always this battle between that and the way of being compensated, unfortunately. And it's so sad. But your story, and the reason why it impacted me, is that anyone who's creative out there, and anyone who may have finished even their studies this year, 2020, in a creative degree or in a creative, accreditation of whatever, listen to Melanie's story and apply it in a way that can be positive for you more than anything, and then how you can apply it to the best use. Okay. I mean, maybe you have to balance things. Maybe you have to have another job going and have your creative endeavor going at the same time, whatever it is, but don't lose sight of it. Keep it going. We need more people to just ingrain themselves in their creative instincts and express it and develop it in whatever way or capacity that they can. I think your story is excellent, because you had this journey and now you're doing something that is just very entrepreneurial, that is making an impact on people, that is bringing the best out in people. And amidst all the problems in 2020, you're making it work. And I think that is so, and I congratulate you, Melanie, more than anything, because I think this year in particular can bring people down in so many ways. But I think perseverance, don't lose eye of your goal. That whole message needs to be just ingrained in everybody at all times, and I really hope you all, viewers and listeners, take that really into deep consideration. And I want to ask you more deeply on this idea of creativity, Melanie, because it seems like your life's work is involved in this on a continual basis. Why is it important for just anyone to explore a sense of creativity in their life? Because I think a lot of people get, and I'm guilty of this as well, by the way, it's like people get really, really ingrained in robust scheduling, things to do. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And people don't take into consideration, like, well, maybe I could sing. Maybe I could act. Maybe I could paint or draw or dance or whatever, like, why do people, I don't know, why do people forget to, or don't take the time to do that? And how can being creative and being expressive really, really change the course of your life in many positive ways, in your opinion?
Well, that's a huge
question. I'm sorry.
It's great. It's a great question. I think the first reason that people don't explore their creativity is because their parents tell them that it's not going to make you any money. Also, parents tend to say to their boys, you can't be a dancer, and you have to go play baseball, or you can't be an actor. Not only that, boys make fun of other boys that are creative. So, and my first thing is when I have a boy in a class that is, being made fun of, and I always say, well, do these people go to the movies? Do they see, I don't even know who's a big male star right now, but whoever, because I haven't watched a movie in 9 months.
Who knows?
All right. Anyway, but my point is that these young kids don't understand that, well, if you take the class now, or you do this, then you could maybe be on the movie screen, and then who would be laughing at you? No one, because they'd want to be you. I think also, unfortunately, in the United States, the arts are not supported the way that they should be. Yes, we have theater, we have, ballet companies, we have opera companies, but it's always the first thing that goes, the creativity. It's the first things that are cut. In Florida, we lost the whole film industry had to pack up and leave because there was no funding. There were no tax breaks for them. So everybody went to Georgia. So all of the work here dried up. So anybody that is trying to find that creativity has somebody in their ear going, you can't do that. It's not going to make you any money. Why are you wasting your time? And yet as kids, we loved to draw. We loved playing with clay. We loved reading or talking out loud or singing. Remember being a child and how exciting that was. And it didn't matter how good or bad you were, you just did it. And, I think that all gets lost in who society thinks that you should be. And also, for me in particular, I happen to be both right and left brained. I can be organized. I can run a business. I can, do whatever I need to do for spreadsheets and all that. And then, go out and sing a song or be in a show. It's not the easiest thing in the world to be that way.
That is.
It's, but, I think when you begin to remember what it was like when you found that passion to sing a song or to draw, and you start again and you just do it a little bit at a time, and you say, maybe I'm going to get a journal. Maybe I'm going to start drawing with colored pencils, or I'm going to, sing a song that I really liked. And the biggest, most important thing you have to say to yourself is, it doesn't matter if I'm awful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you're doing it. And if you keep doing it, and if you practice a little every day, it's going to get a little better. And maybe you still won't be Van Gogh or Picasso or, the best Broadway singer or an Academy Award winning actor. What's happening is you're fueling your own fire. That creativity is fueling your passion for everything. And what I found is that when I'm being creative, when I'm doing a show or I'm doing my little artistic Instagramming thing that I started, and I'm finding all of those things that I've lost over the years, is that my whole personality's changed.
Like in what way?
Well, I find the humor in things a lot. I can laugh at life a little more. I'm much lighter. Even with the whole world falling apart around us, I'm able to kind of retreat a little, and not that it's good to be in your bubble, but you have to protect yourself too. When you're being bombarded by all of the social media, the news, it's like too much, especially if you're creative, it's too much for your creative brain to have all of these things hitting you constantly over and over. So not that you should you should, don't be ignorant. You have to be aware. You have to be intelligent about things. But, you have to protect yourself. So put yourself in that bubble and create within that bubble. And, your bubble can be your home, your family, your friends, whoever you want to invite in your bubble, and whoever you don't can stay out.
Yeah. I think what you're saying with that is really important, because I think there has to be a filtration process, right? Like you have to be very conscious and observant and aware what you decide to bring in, what you don't, and also have the balance throughout your 24 hours. Okay, how much sleep, how much this, how much that. If you can learn to really, really focus and be keen on that and acute to your observation of what you're doing with these things, life can be excellent, really. I mean, and I want to go back a little bit with speaking about, because the word in my mind, hearing your story, also talks about a little bit about resilience and perseverance. How, when you were in, let's say, that fog sort of area of your life where you didn't know where this was all going to go and end up, what made you still take the time out of your day and still have that drive to want to explore your creativity? Like, what, I don't know, what was it that just inspired you to do that?
At the beginning of the pandemic, is that what you mean?
No, well, before that, like throughout your journey, like we were talking about before, when you finished school and where you ended up until now, like that lapse. Having suffered through, I still suffer from depression, and that's the thing too, is that it's okay to say that you're depressed or you suffer from anxiety. It's okay. Melanie, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I don't want to
that's fine.
But I just really, on a quick footnote, I want to say that just these last 2 or 3 weeks, I have done our last episodes on Spirit Lifts. We're focused on talking and breaking down the stigma of talking about
absolutely
mental. What was the term? Mental.
Health awareness.
Health. It just slipped because I did it in Spanish, so I forgot the word.
Yeah.
But I spoke with a really great doctor here in Mexico City, and she's a psychiatrist, and she's done a few episodes now, but we've spoke about this idea, like, why can't we need to speak about and openly, without prejudice, mental what's the second word?
Health.
Mental health, because it is affecting us and bombarding us on many different levels and many different types of people more than ever before. And a lot of that has to do with all these new infiltrations and incorporations of technology as well, and social
Yeah.
media, and a billion other things. But we cannot be stigmatized in this issue because everyone is dealing with it. I told my viewers, this last couple weeks that, I have an OCD issue, and I'm not afraid of that at all because I definitely.
Your house is very neat.
Yeah, well, except the bed right now. But the thing is, like, we cannot be putting up walls on these issues because we are all dealing with something. So continue. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's just, I always say, I'm the poster child for depression. I mean, not in a good way, in the sense that I have learned from it. I have gone through the darkest days, and we can spend a whole other 7 episodes on my childhood. But the fact is that something got me through those 6 weeks that I spent on the couch, and yes, I went to therapy, and yes, I've been medicated, and anything that I could do to pull myself out of the hole that I was in. So what kept me moving forward?
And tapped into you wanting to be creative despite going through those issues. Yeah. I know that when you know that something is moves you, when I used to go to theater, I would cry. The overture would just be, I didn't know why. It was like, why am I crying at the music playing at the beginning of the show? There was something in it that moved me. That's your life force. That's your soul speaking to you. So when I'm going through these dark times, it's like, all right, I got to figure out what is going to make me get out of bed. What's going to make me do something? So maybe it was starting to listen to my favorite music, my favorite musical again, something that moves me, or watching it, or, you have to take a step, whatever it is, whatever it throw yourself out of bed. That's it. Okay, that's the first step. If that's all you've done, good. You did it. The next time you're gonna, pick up a pencil, doodle, So what kept me going through it to be creative was the fact that I loved every ounce of it. And I think that there's that little girl hope in me that I'll still get to perform, because it's so exhilarating to me, as much as and now at my age, and I'm like, oh, rehearsals, I got to memorize the lines. I got to, it's such a labor of love, but it's finding that inner child in you that you want, that you can look at and go, oh my gosh, that's so okay. Having those dreams are so okay. I want to hug you. Look, instead of what life is throwing at you all the time, you have to find that part of yourself, which is what I did. Is, all right, let's nurture that a little bit. Let's find just a little bit of, and I'll push I'm a lot of things, but I never really wanted to work for anybody else. When I did, it wasn't very pretty. Right.
But, filling my soul that way, it's like the minute I started to fill it a little bit, I would start to rise up again. So I don't know if I answered your question. That was a kind of long-winded.
No, it was great. And let me tell you something. I just responding to what you're saying is that I don't know, the things that I've learned about and just own experience of life, and maybe you can relate to it. I don't know, but seems like how we begin our life and how we end up is almost the same. Everything else in the middle is the tension. What I mean,
Yeah.
what I mean by that, the first years of our life feel like just so light and carefree and joyful and well, for most people, where I'm sure a lot of people when they're very young have a lot of traumatic experiences, unfortunately. But I think there's a general, I'm generalizing, sensibility that, when kids grow up, in the first few years of their life, there's a very lightheartedness and view of life, and just an easygoingness and no complications. As we get older and become adults, life is tumultuous in many ways, but then towards the end of life, we're always seeking more and more to get back to that lightness that we felt as we were kids, right? Like
Absolutely.
Invincible, right?
Yeah.
I think ultimately we're always striving for that in some way or capacity, right? So in that way, I think that lightness, feeling light and joyful and creative is kind of all meshes together in some way, right? And I think we're always, let's say, the words that come to mind sometimes, like we're always fighting, we're always pushing, we're always like grinding. Right. It makes everything so complicated all the time. We're always trying to figure out that puzzle. So I think as we get older, I think creativity, I think the way of feeling light and having expression and joyfulness almost has to be a conscious effort. There's a beautiful book, one of my favorite books of all time that I read and I read, I try at least once a year, by an Irish author called Amakata. It's talking about the soulness of what we are. It's a beautiful book. I mean, anyone that can find that book and pick it up and read it, just do it. It's so beautifully written. The Irish do a really good job at writing poetry and everything else. So we are always trying to do things throughout this journey in life, and that's why That's why I always talk about Spirit Lift as being a journey to a better you. It's because I don't think there's any silver bullet solutions to anything, nor should there be. Life is not like that. Life is about the journey. It's not about the end goal. It's about the discovery. It's about the intricacies and how we view that and deal with that. It's a beautiful mess, you know? So
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Organized chaos, right? So
yes, right.
The thing is here, what I'm trying to get at is that I feel this personally myself, every single day just seems like it flies by. Like what happened to this day? I'm like, now I got to cook and now it's 7:00. What happened? Like, it just seems like time goes too quickly the older you get, you know? So the thing is, I think you have to make conscious decisions more and more to do things out of your day to fulfill your life, right? Yeah. You have to, like, and I want to maybe ask you about this as well in a second. It's like, how would you structure your day for, you know, the creative parts of your day, right? I mean, like for me personally, I think, again, you talk about the left and right brain, and I think both are very important, you know, in life. But as well, like, I think, you know, conscious creativity is something. Conscious cooking is another thing. Conscious cleaning, you know, I think we
I don't know if I like the conscious cleaning.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the OCD part of me. Sorry about that. So, I'm speaking from my own prerogative. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Some people don't have to do it or don't want to do that, believe me.
Oh, I have to, and I do it, but not my favorite.
But look, what I'm trying to get at again is that we need to understand how our day unfolds and make the most of it, right? So for me personally, and I got to do better on the creative side, because I used to play music and be involved in music a lot growing up, and I want to get more into that. So I'm trying to find my spaces to do that. So, but I don't know. I think, like, for me personally, a great way to start the day, I always stretch. I always drink water in the morning. I always do breathing exercises just to get good, healthy oxygen in my body, my own grateful prayers. That's how I start my day, and I feel like ready to go. Here we go, right? and then I do sort of, especially COVID, a lot more cleaning and like cooking and with my wife and everything else. So there are different aspects today, but we have to make time for these other things as well. So like, I don't know, like how would you encourage people to tap into their creative part, and what time of the day, what, how would you tell anybody regarding that?
So my post on Instagram today was find time to find the time. Find the time to find the time to find the time to find the time, because everybody is so busy. And one of the things that I hear from, my younger clients is I didn't have time to practice. Why? Because I was too busy. Why were we so busy? Well, I had homework, I had sports, did you go on your phone? Were you too busy to do that? But and so we go round and round. You have to make the time. You have to make the time. So the hardest thing is that making the time to do the things that you don't necessarily want to do or that you're not good at is difficult. So making an exercise regime, you have to hold yourself accountable. And that's, we know that now. That's all over the place in self-help stuff, on fitness guides, and you have to do it if you want to feel better. You have to put in the work. But how do you find the balance of not beating yourself up while you're trying to make yourself better? You have good days, you have bad days, or are they good or bad, or they just are, right? Are they positive or negative, or but I've always known for me that I need sleep. So I make sure that I'm in bed by 10 or 11 every night. That's it, and I'm lucky enough that I can sleep in because I've made my life that, most of my work is in the afternoon. So I can do office work in the morning and then have my clients come after lunch. But I make a schedule, it's not a regimented schedule, but it's, I get up, I have a cup of coffee, I do, I always, before I get out of bed, I do my gratitude, my reiki mantras, so I set my intention before I get out of bed for the day. I have a nice cup of coffee. I have a bird named Arthur and I sit and have coffee together. That's when I do my Instagram scroll, I do my post. I have found, and then I go for a run, which is something that I never thought I would ever do, but running has become my therapy. So that's it's just become part of my morning. So I go out for a run, I come back and I have a healthy smoothie, and then the afternoon is my creative time. Depending on who I have coming for clients for the day. But the afternoon and evening is when I do my, usually on my run. It's usually when I'm running that I'll have an idea come to me. So that's something too, is that and I guess running is very meditative for me. So because it's that constant. So that's usually when I ask for signs or for ideas, or, to just let my mind kind of go where it needs to go. And that's usually when I'll have my idea. So I'll come home and I'll write it down. And then it's later on in the day that I'll say, okay, now what am I going to do with that? And I start being creative. So I think my advice is to, just find the time to find the time, and you have to want to do it. And I tell this to my clients, if you want to do it, we can make it happen, but you have to want to do it, and that's, I always, if I know it's good for me, I want to do it. I want to become a better artist. I want to become a faster runner, run longer distances. I want to be a healthy person, and that. So I put the effort in, and it doesn't happen every day. Some days you have to just go, you know what, I'm not into it today, but you can't let that become your habit.
Yeah.
You have to say, all right, you had a day off, let's go, come on. And you have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be your own, because my other thing that I say to people is, no one's going to do it for you.
Right.
I have learned that over and over and over again. You think, oh, this is my ticket, I'm going to jump on with this person, or I'm going to be, because this is going to be my payday. This is going to be when my, it's all going to start happening, and everything's going to blow up, and it doesn't. Nobody does it for you. So you have to learn how to pick yourself up and say, okay, these are my goals. I'm going to really try and do this. And it's hard, man. It is so hard.
Yeah. Right.
Because other people are succeeding all around you. They're the ones that are getting, the job promotion, or the leading roles, or the getting, noticed in the art community, or they're making more money than you are. And it's hard. It's hard to keep picking yourself up day after day and going, okay, and so you have to celebrate your little wins. Yep. What did you do today that was better than yesterday? So for me, it's, my day was pretty normal. And then, hey, I'm on this really cool Zoom call with Devin. That's my win for the day.
In Orlando and in Mexico City. Wow.
Yeah. It's these things that the universe drops in your lap, and you have to go, okay, I'm going to notice this. I'm going to notice this moment right here and go, this is pretty darn cool. And, I may not be winning the lottery, or, driving the amazing car, or everything that society tells you that makes you think that you've made it. But, today, in this moment, this is what's happening, and this is pretty cool. And I'm super proud of myself for achieving this goal. And then that's it. You let it go and you start again. You get to start again every day.
What you're saying, Melanie, I think falls in line to what I've been feeling this year as well. And I hope our listeners and viewers take this away very, very, very keenly at the end of this episode, is that two things. One is that those impulses in you, and going back to the book Alma Cara that I was talking about from the Irish writer, is that he says in the book that we are spoken to in spirit in the most subtle and light way. It's not like a blatant, clear, lights go off in front of your eyes kind of message. Everything that we feel inside of us that feel, let's say, instinctively feels like the good thing or the right thing or the important thing or the direction where we are kind of way told to go or felt to be drawn to, is always very subtle. It's like a subtle whisper. It's like light, but that light and silent part of that is part of us is the biggest thing. I mean, we get too stuck with the noise, but it's the subtleties that come just so quietly, impactfully, and lightly inside of you that really is the essence of you and your life. So when you're talking about your run, or you're talking about certain important moments in your life where you've felt or experienced that, that's what has led you to go where you want to go and where you felt that you should go. And not every day is going to be like that, like you say. Because, and that again, that becomes the acceptance of what you are willing to be involved with in your life on any given time or any given day. But again, going back to Alma Cara, he talks about there's a beautiful part of the book where he talks about this lantern and walks into a cave, and he knows that the only thing that can really, really give him the true direction and meaning and feeling and navigating through that is that lantern, amidst the whole concave of how big that the vastness of the cave is. And that's the part that is like the thread that is always in you, no matter what's going on around you. It's your center, it's your focus, it's whatever it is, despite what every day turns out to be, you know? So I think for us, each and every day is about how we maintain that in a certain way and how we keep the balance, but then how we, again, we don't have to do everything all at once each and every day. That's impossible. We have to, like, the way that I try to balance my left and right, as you described before, is like, okay, I want to do 8 things each and every day. And I have 8 big things that I want to do each and every day. And I used to think that I can, but I really can't.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I need to break this down into pieces. I need to realistically figure out what I can do and enjoy that each and every day, and enjoy what is the creative part, the restful part, the time with my wife, everything else, because that's all important. There's so much limit to what we can really do in 24 hours, and we can't stretch ourselves thin. If we know how to piecemeal that down each and every day and not have over expectations of things either, and maybe draw out the timelines a little bit, then we'll be okay. You know, we'll be okay. But we maintain that balance, we maintain that thread, we break down a little bit, you know, what we can and can't do. And what I want to get to in the second part, commenting on what you're saying, is like, this year for me personally has really been the year to filter out so much that I do and don't want to focus on. And I'm grateful for that. Because I was overwhelmed. Like at the beginning, I'm like, I love, you know, like just didn't know where this is all going. So with many directions in my life, but this year's just really weeded out. Okay, this is revealing itself for what it is. This thing is becoming ever more important, and it's really honed in the focus. And I'm really, I mean, despite this year of 2020, it's been a realignment of focus in my life, and I'm grateful for that. And Melanie, unfortunately, our time is running out, but I could go on for hours for you. But let's conclude this really scintillating conversation we're having for our viewers. And I want to ask you, what is your nugget of wisdom or insight that you can give our viewers and listeners going into 2021 that can just make them feel uplifted and just going into next year and throughout their life, really, to really do the best that they can with how they feel and what they want to do? What would be your insight?
So I would say to everyone, start doing for yourself. Not to be selfish, but to really find the things that matter to you that maybe you've lost over the years. Pick one thing and start with that. Whatever it is that you love, that you've lost. You know, it can be something as simple as journaling or drawing or, you know, taking a golf lesson or rekindling your love with your significant other. Pick one thing and let the rest go. Let the rest just fall off. Anything that's not serving you. I can't tell you how important this is to release the negative around you, to shed the people that are no longer serving you. Whoever in your life is speaking to you or bringing you down. If you need to take a break from social media, if you need to distance yourself from a friend or a loved one, it doesn't mean it'll be forever, but take the time to start filling yourself up. And when that starts to happen, when you feel whole again, when you feel, or becoming whole again, when you start to feel well, when you're getting enough sleep, or when you've just done something, I always say to people, please go do something nice for yourself today. Whatever that means to you. If you need to go sit outside and have a cup of coffee by yourself, or go for a walk by yourself, or go buy yourself that pair of earrings that you've been looking at. Whatever it means, do something nice for yourself, because that'll lift your spirits, and in turn, your higher vibration will impact all of those around you. Their vibrations will be higher, and it's a ripple effect. So, just do it for you. That's my biggest takeaway to everybody. And that's the one thing that's helped me the most, is bring it back to you, fill it up, let it out.
That's absolutely excellent. And I think that is definitely one of the most important things everyone should be doing each and every day, no matter what point and juncture they are in their life. And it's about action. And I think listening to your story as well, Melanie, I think that you have, in your own way, and having probably gone through many trials and tribulations as most do in this life, always maintained your thread, your passion, your direction, and I commend you for that as well. And I thank you so much for being on this episode.
My pleasure. So much fun. Thank you.
If you're watching on YouTube, please, in the comments below, let us know, what is your passion? What avenue of creativity do you want to explore in 2021? We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you and speak to you all on the next episode. Thank you so much.